Folks, the media says that Donald Trump has turned D.C. into Disney World, but what's really happening here? Let's roll this clip, guys, and then we're going to break it all down.
Trump's turning D.C. into Disney World. That's not me saying it. That's the media. 47's molding D.C. into his own personal Epcot, a political theme park where troops keep the peace and the White House glitters like Mar-a-Lago. I took my kids to Epcot. It was clean, friendly, and fun. Why would anyone be against that? With a little imagination and some pixie dust, Trump turned the Capitol into the most magical place on earth.
We actually arrested a total of well over 1,000 people. We took hundreds of guns away from young kids that were throwing them around like it was candy. As I said, we've had 0 murders in the last week. And some of these people were from foreign countries. They said, that doesn't sound so good. And I said, well, it doesn't sound good, but Washington was the most dangerous place in this country. And now, you know what? It's probably the safest place in our country.
The National Guard's carrying 9mm and M4s. And we've gone 12 days without a murder in D.C. It's the longest streak since before the pandemic. Trump's done so much, the U.S. Marshals gave him a badge.
We thought it was only appropriate to present you with an honorary United States Marshal Service badge. And this badge comes with this little item right here, the handcuff key, Mr. President, because you continue through your policies and your efforts with your staff to unhandcuff law enforcement officers all over this nation.
America's heartthrob, Stephen Miller, says Trump's making America date again. Last week was Restaurant Week and Liberation Week.
For the first time in their lives, they can use the parks, they can walk on the streets. You have people who can walk freely at night without having to worry about being robbed or mugged. They're wearing their watches again. They're wearing jewelry again. They're carrying purses again. It is a literal statement that President Trump has freed 700,000 people in this city who were living under the rule of criminals and thugs.
This isn't just a win for your wife who wants to wear jewelry. You know the jewelry you bought her. Guys can show off the bling, too.
I don't even got to look over my shoulder no more. I'm walking around with this. Listen, jump out on me if you want. I'm going to scream. They're going to be here in 33 seconds. I got some help, some backup. For real, you jump out, I'm going to blow your ass. Look, they right here. Look, they outside, though. Oh, God almighty.
No murders, and guys can wear flashy watches and take girls to dinner. Who's against that?
Why has Bowser allowed D.C. to be a playground for white gentrifiers and developers at the expense of the native population?
So misguided. Trump's going to protect whites and blacks, whether they like it or not. Big Balls won't have to take one for the team anymore. He was jumped saving a girl from getting carjacked, but he's back from the hospital throwing up 225 on the bench. They're calling him swole balls. Meanwhile, Democrats can't even get it up without help.
Yo, you cannot be the mayor of Let's go! I might need 1, 2, 3. Let's go! Yeah! Let's go! Hey! Up! Hey! Let's go! Hey, baby! Yeah!
Kami Mandami couldn't do one rep with 45s on the side without someone lifting it for him. If he can't manage 135 pounds, how's he going to manage the weight of New York? It's not a light job. And talk about being unprepared. You go into Men's Day in Brooklyn with the cameras hot, and it looks like you've never been to the gym. This guy's not ready to run New York. He's just winging it. Zoolander will be walking around with armed bodyguards. It doesn't matter if he's a weakling, but you'll have to fend for yourself because he's giving an easy pass to criminals. He wants to scrap misdemeanors and wants to send social workers to crime scenes and keep cashless bail. But Trump's writing an executive order overruling it.
I mean, they kill people and they get out. Cashless bail. They thought it was discriminatory to make people put up money because they just killed 3 people lying on a street. Any street all over the country, cashless bail. We're ending it, but we're starting by ending it in D.C., and that we have the right to do through federalization.
In Greenwich Village, 2 convicted killers were arrested selling drugs in the park, and the city let them walk with no bail. A Tren de Aragua gang member was wanted for homicide, and they arrested him, and he got out no bail. A pickpocketer was busted 45 times just last year, and he's still out on the streets.
Hold up right there, guys. Did you catch that? For the first time in decades, D.C. goes 12 straight days without a single murder. Under Trump's leadership, guys, the media mocks him like it's some theme park, but families are walking safe again. Doesn't that sound like common sense law and order working? Do me a favor, guys. Smash that like button right now if you think America deserves this kind of leadership in every city.
Cashless bail was such a problem in Chicago, they reversed it. But Chicago homicides are still way too high. Homicides were higher every year in Chicago under Biden than under Obama. Trump says the Guard might have to pay the Windy City a little visit.
Is the Pentagon preparing for military deployment to Chicago? And with what you said there, are you waiting for the governor?
We're ready to go anywhere. You know, I hate to barge in on a city and then be treated horribly by corrupt politicians and bad politicians like a guy like Pritzker. He ought to spend more time in the gym, actually.
Chicago could look like Epcot, but Governor J.B. Back Ribs says it's already utopia.
Well, here I am on the path on the lakefront at 6 a.m. on a Monday. And we got a lot of people running, having a great time. It doesn't feel like a hellhole here. In fact, everybody's having a great time and enjoying themselves.
J.B. Back should take that act to the South Side. 6 people were killed there this weekend, including a kid.
Man.
And the governor doesn't appreciate the fat jokes.
From my perspective, it takes one to know one on the weight question. And the president, of course, himself is not in good shape. So he ought to respond to that from me.
Instead of I'm rubber, you're glue, J.B. Back should say thank you. D.C. is on its 12th day of no murders after they averaged 1 every other day for 30 years. Pritzker should say, yeah, let's save lives together. The mayor of Chicago, who's one of the most unpopular mayors in the country, with a 26% approval rating, says if Trump sends the Guard to protect blacks from killing each other, he's going to mount an insurrection.
The people of this city are accustomed to rising up against tyranny. And if that's necessary, I believe that the people of Chicago will stand firm alongside of me as I work every single day to protect the people of this city.
If Brandon Johnson can't protect his own people, why wouldn't he want help from Trump? Because Trump's white? Because he's a Republican? What? Because this is all about politics. Johnson and J.B. Back can't do their job. And
Think about this, guys. U.S. Marshals literally handed Trump an honorary badge because he's finally letting law enforcement do their jobs. Meanwhile, Democrats are the ones handcuffing police, unleashing criminals with cashless bail. Guys, this is insane. One man steps in, backs the blue, suddenly crime drops like a rock. Guys, if you're tired of the politicians letting thugs run wild, hit that subscribe button so that we can keep getting the truth out there, guys.
If President Trump, who doesn't even live there, isn't even from there, can do it better in a couple of weeks, how does that make them look? Useless. Also makes them look like they really don't care. Trump's about to do to crime what he did to the border. Just like he showed politicians it was possible to control the border, now he's going to show them it's possible to control crime. These lifelong politicians keep everyone's expectations so low because they don't do anything with the power we give them.
Wow.
So when someone comes along and actually does something with that power, it makes the useless ones go crazy because it exposes their limp system that lets them stay in control. Judge Jeanine Pirro says, if you want to fight tyranny, fight crime.
You know what tyranny is? Tyranny is when you can't walk outside and go to dinner. Tyranny is when they shoot you and the person walks out of jail before you get out of the hospital. Tyranny is when people are not made accountable. Johnson ought to hope that the president comes there to clean up the mess in Chicago.
Trump's managing to unite the left and the right, while the politicians who sit up above are left out in the cold.
Have you been in Chicago? Have you been in Baltimore? But my daughter went to school in Chicago. I remember the day she graduated, there were shootings and killings right outside of her building. And in Baltimore, I have friends that go down to Johns Hopkins, get treated for medical conditions. I mean, they are nervous about ever going there. Then this is not some right-wing person. This is somebody who wants to be able to go into some of our great cities and be able to be safe.
The city of Baltimore, the population's gone down by 300,000 people. Baltimore is rated the 4th most dangerous city in America. And Governor Westmore doesn't want Trump's help. He just wants him to come take a walk.
Donald Trump, if you are not willing to walk our communities, keep our name out of your mouth. Because if you were willing to visit, if you were willing to spend time, if you were willing to actually walk our communities and walk our streets and not just talk about us from the Oval Office, you would see what we see. One of the greatest cities in the United States of America.
Trump had to decline politely. Quote, Governor Westmore of Maryland has asked in a rather nasty and provocative tone that I walk the streets of Maryland with him. I assume he is talking about out-of-control, crime-ridden Baltimore. As president, I would much prefer that he clean up this crime disaster before I go there for a walk.
Guys, see, this is the difference. Trump restores order, and people can walk the streets safely again. Democrats, they whine about politics. They let killers walk free. Guys, it is absolutely disgraceful. But here's my question for you guys. Should Trump expand this crackdown into cities like Chicago and Baltimore next? Drop your answer down in the comments, guys. I want to hear what you think.
Wes is talking a big game, but less than a year ago, he was kissing the ring.
Mr. President, welcome back to Maryland, sir. Welcome back to Maryland. It's good to see you.
In person, too.
Thank you, sir. Great to see you. Great to see you. And great to have you back here. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Well, we are very, very anxious to be able to work closely with you.
Wes wanted to work closely with Trump when he thought no one was watching. But now he's running for president, so he's resisting like JB back. Crime was one of the most important issues in the last election. It ranked higher than foreign policy and the deficit. The president has a mandate. That's how democracy works.
And they say, we don't need him. Freedom, freedom. He's a dictator. He's a dictator. A lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator. I don't like a dictator. I'm not a dictator. I'm a man with great common sense, and I'm a smart person. And when I see what's happening to our cities, and then you send in troops, instead of being praised, they're saying you're trying to take over the republic. These people are sick.
Black-on-black crime is going to keep raging if everyone's so afraid to talk about it. You can't arrest your way out of drugs, gangs, and broken homes, but it's a good start. If there's not going to be consequences at home, there's going to be consequences in society. And a party that doesn't believe in consequences isn't a party. It's anarchy. The left lost millions of voters over defund the police and open borders. And Trump's going to be going city to city with ICE and the Guard, cracking down on crime and illegals. And if there's a faction of politicians that fight that, they're going to suffer bad headlines 24/7. Or they can do the right thing and work with Trump to turn their cities into the Magic Kingdom.
Here's the bottom line, guys. Trump is proving what the establishment never wanted you to see. That crime can be stopped. The law and order does work. And that America doesn't have to live under fear anymore, guys. For decades, politicians in both parties let our cities rot. They told us it was impossible. The crime rate was just part of life in a big city. But the second Trump takes charge, the murders drop. The streets are clear. People are living free again. That's not magic, guys. That's leadership. And that's exactly why Democrats are in full-blown panic mode right now. Because every single day, Trump proves them wrong. He exposes them as the failures that they are. They'd rather protect their power than protect their own people. They'd rather play politics than save lives. And when Trump shows the American people that what he can do in 2 weeks, what they couldn't do in 30 years, their whole corrupt system starts to crumble. Look around, guys. Chicago, Baltimore, New York. These cities are war zones. Ordinary citizens are trapped while politicians argue about ideology. Trump isn't arguing. He's acting. And you better believe the left can't stand it because it shatters their entire narrative. They want you to believe that he's a dictator. But tell me, what's more tyrannical? A president stopping murder and crime in the streets, or politicians letting criminals kill and walk free in the name of equity? This is why millions of Americans are fed up. This is why people are turning back to Trump, because he's the only one willing to do what the career politicians won't. And if they think they can stop that momentum by mocking him with Disney World jokes, they're badly mistaken. The people don't want crime. The people want safety. The people want law and order. So guys, I got to ask you again. Do you think Trump should expand this crackdown nationwide? Let me know down in the comments, guys. And if you're with me on this, don't forget, like this video, subscribe for more conservative commentary. Share this with your friends, guys. Together, we're going to keep pushing the truth that the media doesn't want you to hear.